Check, 1, 2. All right. Good morning, everybody. Getting ready to get things started right here. Sharing everything out to the networks. We're going to talk about the perfect off-season. What does that look like? Yeah. All right. Welcome, one. Yeah, this is the Lion Villain Report. We're getting ready to do this thing. What we're going to talk about today is what would be the perfect offseason for the Lions. What would that be for you? This is the Lion Villain Report. We're broadcasting live right now into the Lions Villain Squad Facebook page right there. And thank you right now. Leon Phelps is here, and he wanted to acknowledge the villain at 60,000 right here. And Leon Phelps is going to be here. He's going to take you all the way to 70,000. So make sure you follow and like the page. Yeah. We got YouTube going on. Yeah. Villain Squad, Villain Report on YouTube at Lions Villain Squad. Joe Chap and the boys over at Detroit Lions News Podcast right there. Broadcasting live right there. Thank you. Thank you for your network, my brother. We're the UDFA, the Undrafted Free Agent of Sports Podcasting. You can help simply by liking, sharing, commenting. That helps because we love talking football here. Let's do it. The Huddle Sports Network on Roku. We're there too. Yeah. The UDFA of sports podcasting. Good morning to everybody that's out there. The ones that are in my chat. I like that. I like that chat full of lots of fun Lion fans in there. We're broadcasting live. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. Yeah, you can use that code right there. Save up to 25% off from our affiliate marketing partners at Fanatics.com. You can also get WWE stuff, NHL stuff, Red Wings stuff, Tigers stuff. That's right. John Cena. He pulls out the turn heel card. I know you don't care about that. Let's say hello to everybody in there. Central Scrutinizer. John, what's up, buddy? Detroit, the bad guys in the house. One Funky Lion fans in the house. Yeah. How can the Lions get better? Replace the Gatorade with milk, less injuries? Well, yeah, that's a when I look at the injury thing for the Lions, I mean, a lot of that's bad luck. You know, you can go ahead and say Brad Holmes, all he does is get injured guys, but even with that, you know, like doubling up people's injuries in there, sometimes you just get a streak of bad luck, and 21 IRs is bad luck. You can't expect that trend to continue. I mean, for one, you learn from your mistakes. So if it's something in the training or whatever, they're going to adjust to some of that this year. So the attrition that Brad Holmes likes to call it that they suffered is, I mean, some of that is bad luck. Actually, a lot of it is bad luck. Some of it is getting injured players. I get that. I mean, that's one of the things I believe that he's going to do this year in this offseason that's different, is because there isn't as many holes. You're not going to have to take as many chances on injured players. So with that being said, I lost my communication here. With that being said, let me get, there we go. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to make it better? We got to make it better. The new league year is looming out there. So let's get to it. I don't know what order I really wanted to go in here for this stuff, but I guess we'll just start. Now, I went through with Cap. You know, I've taken a lot of things into consideration when it came to doing this. And I apologize. I just spilled something in the background here. So I am trying to keep this thing going. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be spilling stuff in the background, Russ. Oh, the attrition that I suffer. The attrition that I suffer in the back here, in the background. Oh, I got an injured mouse pad. All right, let's see if I did this. Did I ruin anything? It doesn't look like I've ruined anything. Okay, let's start. First of all, we get into the salary cap type of stuff. So let's take a look at our current salary cap situation in here. There it is. The salary cap. We gotta stay under the salary cap. So some things to note right here. One is the team's cap space is not 51.1 million. We released Jalen Reeves-Maybin, which is not reflected upon here. So we add a couple $1 million to that cap right there. Damn it. So I think there's going to be some tough cuts that are going to happen this year. And so the perfect offseason. First thing we're going to do, and not in any particular order, but in this offseason, I believe we are going to extend Alex Anzalone. And when you look at his cap here, you see 0 guaranteed money. Alex Anzalone is in the last year of his contract. and he has zero guaranteed money. His cap hit is $7.2 million. His base salary is $6 million. It is tailor-made for an extension. And why would you not want to extend a guy that's playing at a high level? He was a obvious improvement last season when he got injured, and then when he came back, there was marked improvement on there. So, in my scenario, in my offseason scenario, they're going to extend Alex Anzalone by 2 years, and they're going to lower that cap hit for 2025 down by $5 million, which would raise their cap up to $58 million. So, first move, extend Alex Anzalone by 2 years, lowering the 2025 cap by $5 million. Now, I may be full of crap. You may just call me a homer, saying, "Oh, you're just gonna do stuff, and it's just gonna help your team." So I may not be doing this stuff right, but I'm using over the cap, trying to get this as close as possible. Okay, let's see what we got in here so far. I spilled my Mountain Dew, a little bit of it, a little bit. I actually caught it. Like, let's be honest here. This thing could have been a lot worse. All right, okay. It could have been a real bad situation right here with the Mountain Dew, but I'm back in. I'm back. I apologize. Trying to get it going here. But we're in the Lions offseason. The first thing that I did is I extended Alex Anzalone, taking our cap from right around $53 million up to about $58 million. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that in this order, but this is just the order that I put this in here. Next thing that we're going to do right here is we are going to release and then re-sign Zadarius Smith. So let me show you, so you don't just think I'm doing weird stuff here. We want to keep Zadarius Smith on the books, right? We like Zadarius Smith here, but he's not going to get this crazy salary and these roster bonus. $1.7 million option with a regular $200,000 or $2 million regular bonus. They're probably not going to pay that. Okay. So, and he's got no guaranteed money on this deal either. So this is another one of those things where you're either going to extend him or you're going to release him, sign him. And I think they're going to release him, sign him, so I don't have to pay these roster bonuses. And with that new cap number, I don't think that that's going to be right there. So when they do this and they re-pick him up, I think they're going to be able to save a little bit of money. I think it's going to be like a 2-year, $8.5 million deal, somewhere around in there, because I don't think that he's going to get the money that he got when he signed that contract. You know, he's not that player anymore, and I don't think that he would think that's a nice deal right there. So the cap hit would be about $2 million in 2025. And actually, I think it would lower that. I may be wrong on that. It wouldn't be a cap hit. It would be cap savings of $2 million. I miswrote that. Let me write that in there right. Because his cap hit is like $5 million right now. And if they do this deal, his cap hit would be, around $2 million. So maybe $3 million. So you keep Zadarius Smith, you take your cap up to $60 million so far, right there. So let's do a nice thing right here. We're going to re-sign Carlton Davis. So here's what I did right here, because I think there's going to be other suitors that are out there. And on PFF, you got Carlton Davis listed at $14 million a year, which is a nice little chunk of change. So I think what the Lions are going to do is they are going to laden this contract with some incentives, and they're going to take that guaranteed money down, right? So they have him guaranteed at $22 million through the 3-year, $45 million deal or $42 million deal. I think the Lions are going to offer him $3 million, $45 million year with $17 million guaranteed. Not as much guaranteed, but the potential to make more money. And they will re-sign Carlton Davis, and it's going to be around $11 million cap hit. We're going to put it right there. So that's going to bring us back down to $49 million in cap. But we got Carlton Davis back. I think it's a very important signing. I think they're going to go in and try to get this guy. So Rick agrees with me. Z is definitely getting released. Re-signing is the question. Yeah, a lot of this is like my dream offseason, okay? This is the Russell Wayne villain dream offseason. Now, when you look at some of these contracts, you're going to go, well, I don't know if you could get him for that. I don't know either, but I know that Brad Holmes isn't going to overpay for these guys. So, I think they offer CD3 a bigger deal and bring back Carlton Davis on that 3-year deals. Not as much in the guarantees, but they're going to offer him more per year than anybody else, and he likes it here. I don't know where the thing is where everyone's like, okay, I get Jacksonville's in on him. There's a lot of teams that should be in on Carlton Davis. But the thing is he's got his family here. He's here. He's played here. He's familiar with here. He likes it here. I mean, but the reason why I have him at $15 million a year instead of the $14 million a year that PFF suggests is the fact that I don't think that he's going to be doing hometown discounts. I think that Carlton Davis is trying to get his money. And I think this is the one spot where Carlton Davis is going to win versus Brad Holmes here. I mean, you want to keep this guy, and I think a nice contract that really looks like a 2-year deal that you can get out of. And that's what I believe. They're going to get it incentivized, meaning that it's going to look like a $15 million a year contract, but the $18 million guaranteed. You're going to incentivize that, so it's really going to be more like a $10 million a year contract or a $9 million a year contract with an out after the second year. You know how Brad Holmes do this, bad guy. You know how he does it. That's how Brad Holmes does deals. And if they get that to work, that would be the good thing. So there we are. That's to me is one of the most important re-signings. And if they don't go get Carlton Davis, there are other options that are in free agency that are a little more unknown for us. But I think that the best case scenario is that you re-sign Carlton Davis. Next on our list is Levi Onwuzurike. Levi Onwuzurike. This is not. I mean, I'm not going to make any Lion friends right here. A lot of people call him a bust already, which I think is idiotic. When people are injured, and it's like I can't believe people call people busts after 2 years. You know, a guy's played 2 years, and let's say he didn't play in his first year, and, you know, the Broderick Martins of the world, the Colby Sorsdals of the world. I get that you got your eye up, and you go, okay, what's going on with this guy? That's fine. But the thing is it takes 3-4 years to develop guys. I'm not even going to make an assessment until they play their third year. So telling me that, you know, Lash Ennis, Rakestraw, like all these, oh man, Manu, I can't believe they missed. I can't believe they did. Like, stop it. You were told. It's okay, yeah. Well, they might have been able to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, they might not if they didn't get 21 freaking injuries. They might have been competing there. They won 15 games with 175 guys on IR. So, rant over with that. 2 years, $14 million, cap hit of $4 million in 2025. Levi Onwuzurike will take a chance by staying here. I think he's going to play for less here if he plays. If Brad Holmes signs him, he's going to be like, hey, look, Levi, first year you were injured, second year, I appreciate that you came back. And that's why we're going to offer you a contract. Okay? We got some cap space here, but we got some extensions to get done. You want to play on a Super Bowl roster, you got better. Here's a guy that missed the first 2 years, missing in action. You could call him a bust. I mean, honestly, whatever. If you want to do that, I'm not going to give you a hard time about calling Levi a bust after the first 2 years. But he got his spinal infusion, came back and played like a plus player in 2023. And then last year he had the most snaps ever. That's why I think 2 years, $14 million. It gives you some time to figure out if he can turn into that draft pick. But he had an overall PFF score of 69 point something. And when you factor in the playoff game that he was okay in, 70. He was a 70 on PFF. He was a plus player. In pressures, he was a top 15 defensive tackle. This to me is a no-brainer because you need depth, whether you draft defensive tackles or you're counting on Broderick Martin or whatever. You got guys on the roster, Mekhi Wingo. You bring back Levi Onwuzurike, and you at least got a solid depth piece in there. So let me see if I'm getting crucified here in the comments on that already. Oh. Mark G says re-signing Zadarius Smith would be great also. Yeah, this is my dream offseason right here. If Carlton Davis wants more money, he's going to go do some endorsement deals like Hutchinson did for commercials, more money that way. Hey, this is the real world, bad guy. If Carlton Davis, he might go and play for, the Jacksonville Jaguars for, $17 million a year. We're not going to pay him that. I don't think so. Oh. Levi could be the odd man out in all of this. That's true. That is, but in my dream scenario, I want to keep the familiar guys around here, especially the ones that play good. And one Funky Lion fan says that he likes Levi, and he may price himself out of here. PFF has got him at $8.25 million a year, 2 year, like $17 million deal. I don't think that Brad would sign him for that. And that's why I got him in here at 2 years, $14 million, roughly. And, you'd guarantee about, maybe $8-9 million on that deal. And he could take that or he could leave that, All right, so now let's move on. I think that, I'm not getting crucified as bad as I thought I was. The bad guy said if he wants $17 million, and that's it. If they don't go get Carlton Davis and they don't go get Levi, they're going to get somebody else. But when I talk dream scenarios in this, to me, it's keeping as many of your most guys that you have, right? So here we are. That was $11 million versus my cap right there. We're still at $49 million in cap. And we've re-signed Zadarius Smith. We extended Alex Anzalone. We've re-signed Carlton Davis. And we've re-signed Levi Onwuzurike. We got $49 million worth of cap left after doing those moves. And then we're going to do something that you guys are going to hate me for. You guys are not going to like me for this. But we are going to release Khalif Raymond, saving $3.5 million in cap and avoiding a $2 million roster bonus. Right there. I love me some Khalif Raymond. I do. But let's look at this contract. I thought long and hard on this, guys. I did. Here we are. I'm sorry, Khalif, but your $6 million cap hit to be the number 5 option in the wide receiver room and a punt returner is just too much money for a punt returner. It just is. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to bring him back on some kind of minimum contract after that. You know, he may make it onto the 90-man roster and make the roster, but it ain't going to be at $6.3 million, with $2 million worth of roster bonuses. So when they do that move, they're going to release, they're going to have about $5 million back, which brings them back up to $54 million after releasing Khalif Raymond. You guys hurt me? The bad guy's loving my offseason. 4 players in, and I'm loving your offseason. Did you not? Oh, you're going to hate me? Are you going? And no one's going to hate on me? What are your thoughts? I've just released. Khalif Raymond. Oh, Mark G's not all right. I'm not getting beat up as much on it. I got $54 million left on my cap. And when we do that move, there's two reasons I think that you're going to release Khalif Raymond. I'm not saying you don't bring him back as a punt returner. I lost all my viewers on that one. They're all gone now. But we're going to re-sign Tim Patrick. I was trying to think of why and how we could do this because I like Tim Patrick. And some people thought that I was being a butthole by saying that I didn't want him back. It's not that I don't want him back. You just can't pay, $8-9 million a year for a number 5 option. Because, Jameson Williams is going to get more. Sam Laporta is going to get more. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get more. So, that makes room when you release Khalif Raymond, then you make room to where re-signing Tim Patrick, 2 years, $4.5 million. He wants to win a chip, and they release Khalif Raymond, which gives him a little more of the opportunity to, have the room that's on there. Mark G says Tim Patrick is a must re-sign. My opinion, we need a big wide receiver. If you release Leaf, Ben could swoop him up. That's true. But that's it. You can have our scraps, man. You can have the scrap. I love Khalif Raymond. We got a lot of blue chipper guys that none of these guys we love these guys because our roster was actually 53 people deep, into the practice squad, all guys that could play. So right there, now we got, Tim Patrick instead of Leaf. That's going to cost about $1.2 million, bring us down about $52 million in cap, roughly. Then the Lions are going to release Graham Glasgow, coming off of his worst season of his career here. Definitely not going to be starter. I like the idea of, having him as, depth. And it's another one of those guys that if he wants to come back cheaper, that's fine. But as of right now, I'm releasing Graham Glasgow. I'm going to save $2 million versus my cap. Bring myself up to 54 again. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, but Russ, you've left a giant hole in the offensive line. What in the world could we do? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to sign Patrick McCarry for a 3-year, $20 million deal. And that's a $5 million, $225 cap hit. And why do I like him? Oh, man, let me get these guys in here in our little free agency rankings. Let's do it. Interior offensive lineman. Let's look at it. Patrick McCarry. Log snaps all over the offensive line, filling in wherever the Ravens needed him. In 2024 meant playing nearly every down at left guard for a revamped offensive line that markedly improved during the season, after a rocky start. The versatility, did you see that? The versatility of McCarry provides more than 500 snaps at both tackle spots in 2024 that could drive his value up. So, out goes Graham Glasgow, in comes the versatile Patrick McCarry at 3 years, $20 million. Notice it's a little bit less than what he was projected right there. And that's okay. That's okay, because that's what Brad Holmes is going to do. He's going to dangle the Super Bowl carrot in front of people. And whether it's Patrick McCarry or another one of these versatile down the line guards, I think that's what they do. So now you got McCarry, you got Christian Mahogany, you got the youth movement going on, you got younger at both positions. So your offensive line has been shored up with your guys that you have going into the draft. That's $5 million worth of cap, bringing you down to right around $40 million left on our $48 million. You notice how I'm up and then down, up and then down? The thing is like people don't realize how far you can stretch cap money, when you have a healthy roster. You can stretch some of this stuff out here because you have drafted well in some spots. You don't have a lot of holes. One Funky Lion fan says you release Graham Glasgow, then bring back Evan Brown. I like that. Everywhere Evan Brown. You could probably get Evan Brown pretty cheap in that scenario, right? I like it with Graham. That's good and smart. Glasgow is one of the offensive linemen that could be replaced by somebody else with the same or more talent. I think I just did that in this case, Mark. So let's move on to the next move. Let's see. Get back into my cap room right here. So next on the list. All right, now we got to get into some of the big boys. You ready for this? You got to do this. You got to do this. We are going to pick up the 5th-year option on Jameson Williams. We're going to take a break from signing players for a minute, and let's get into some of the guys that, a lot of the talk this offseason is Jameson Williams. Are we going to re-sign him to a long-term extension? It's possible, but I doubt it. Not going to re-sign him to a long-term extension because his 5th-year option is the cheapest 5th-year option there can be, because there's 4 factors that go along with the 4th year or with the 5th-year options. And he didn't clear any of those hurdles. He did not play enough snaps, did not get selected to a Pro Bowl, and did not get selected to an All-Pro. So he's at the lowest form of fifth-year option. This is a no-brainer. You know what you have. Jameson Williams could end up being the best wide receiver in football, or he could dud out and do some more immature shit and be out of the league. That's the tipping point right there. What do you do? What can you do? So what you do is the smart thing is you pick up the fifth-year option, guarantees him roughly around $15 million for the next season, and then you have him under contract for 2025, 2026. You see what he does in 2025? If it's nice, well, then you offer him a big extension that lowers his cap number in 2026. That's easy peasy. To me, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. Now, I got, I'm gonna bring in the big extension right here. Here's the extension thing. We gotta extend Aiden Hutchinson, right? But when? That's the thing. I think this is going to be a controversial thing that's going to happen this year, but the Lions are also going to pick up the fifth-year option for Aiden Hutchinson. And the question being, and this is the thing right here, is you gotta play this thing smart, right? Next year, you got some crazy cap stuff going on, right? You got some crazy cap stuff going on next year. Let's really look at this thing. So in 2026, you got, all of these big cap numbers: Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell. These are when these contracts start hitting up and the cap numbers go way, way down. Right? So here we are, still sitting at about $49 million in my hypothetical cap here. We're going to pick up the Jameson Williams fifth-year option. I think they're going to pick up Aiden's fifth-year option. They're going to table the contract for him for next year. Now, it may cost them more money maybe in the long run, but next year's cap is where we need the relief. And if you re-sign Aiden Hutchinson this year, then next year's cap hit is going to be a lot bigger than this year's. When you do big, huge extensions, you take your signing bonus and then you're spreading it out over, the life of the contract through signing bonuses, lowering that cap number on certain years. The first year gets a break. Now, if Aiden Hutchinson signs a, $35+ million a year contract as a defensive end, the first year of that contract, we're not going to be able to afford that if that hits like that next year. And if you re-sign his contract and extend him now, you're going to have to do that next year. Or you're going to have to extend or remove money around next year. But if you wait on Aiden Hutchinson's contract, pick up the fifth-year option, and then you work on this and get the deal done next offseason. So when you get into 2026 and you're looking at Aiden Hutchinson's contract right here, when you get into 2026, that fifth-year option is going to cost you like $20 million, right? But if you extend him, the first year of that contract's probably going to be 15. Maybe 13. I mean, you could take it down to 1. You can take it down the first year down to a 1 year. And where they need the relief the most is next offseason. So I think they're going to take this big, huge contract and they're going to table this as a draft strategy. Aiden Hutchinson's a lifelong Lion. There's no doubt. But I think they're going to table this contract until next year. You can pick up the fifth-year option. You're not losing Aiden Hutchinson by doing that. But what you can do with that is table that now on the other side of it, I believe that Kirby Joseph contract is going to get done this offseason because of the position that he plays. When it comes to where you're going to hit that up. Now, you could very well do, when I get done with this exercise, you'll see why we could just get Aiden's done too with my full plan here. 4 years, $64 million, $6 million versus the cap in year one. I based that contract offer off of Xavier McKinney's. I made it more than his contract for last year. Because you ain't going to mess around with that money right there. Knocking $6 million off. That brings us down to $44 million in cap. So, I mean, we can argue over the semantics of that. Either way, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a guy that's going to stay here for the long term. So, but I think that Kirby's extension is going to get done first. I mean, if only for the sheer fact that it's a safety contract. Right there. So now, what have we done this offseason? Let's review up until this point. Let me get this guy out of the way here. And here we go. Let's review what we've done so far. On our cap, we have extended Alex Anzalone to save some cap for this year. We have released and then re-signed Zadarius Smith to gain a little cap flexibility. And with that money, we were able to re-sign Carlton Davis to a 3-year, $45 million deal. $17 million guaranteed, $11 million cap hit. We were able to re-sign Levi Onwuzurike for a team-friendly deal of 2-year, $14 million. But then we released Khalif Raymond so we could make room in targets and everything so we could have the bigger wide receiver. We brought back Tim Patrick. On the offensive line, we released Graham Glasgow on this hypothetical deal. And in his place, we signed 3-year, $20 million Patrick McCarry, the versatile offensive lineman that can play both swing tackle positions too. We love versatility. Then we picked up the 5th-year option on Jamison Williams. We picked up the 5th-year option on Aiden Hutchinson. And we re-signed Kirby Joseph to a multi-year extension, 4 years, $64 million, counting $6 million versus the cap here in 2025. We roughly have $44 million in cap left, so let's use some of it. Lions re-sign Derek Barnes, 2 years, $7.5 million, 1.7 versus the cap in the first year. He signs a team-friendly deal because he's been injured here quite a bit. He was definitely trending towards being a plus player. Don't think that Brad Holmes wants to give up on him, so we resign Derek Barnes. 2 years, $7.5 million. You like how that? 5 years? Paul Jones says 5 years, $150 million for Hutch. Mostly backloaded. That's true. You can do that. But for right now, they're going to sign his 5th-year option. I mean, he's under contract this year. We're not in any hurry to do this because of my big ending. My big ending, right? So, we just re-signed Derek Barnes. What do you think? Derek Barnes. We bring back Derek Barnes. You got to solidify that linebacker room. So now you got Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone. You're looking pretty good there. And you also used your restricted free agent, the EDFAs too. bringing back some of that depth like Nowoski, the restricted ones. So let's move on right there. I like that. Derek Barnes. All right. So we're at 44, 43. Let's call it $42 million left on the cap deal. So the Lions bust in for a move, DJ Reader. DJ Reader, no guaranteed money on that contract in the last year of his deal. The Lions add an extra year to that deal because you got the big cap hit right now for DJ Reader, which is right around, I believe, let's get this bad boy up there. His cap hit 2025 is $12 million. So they're going to add another year onto this deal, signing him through 2026, and they're going to lower that cap number by $7 million in this year, bringing that cap right back up to $50 million. And we got DJ Reader signed for this year and next year by doing that. And you give him a little bit of guaranteed money. As a little break right here, this episode of the Lion Villain Report is brought to you by Fanatics.com. Right there, you can get 25% off of your orders by scanning that QR code, going and using the Villain link. You can get Red Wings gear, Tigers gear, Pistons gear, Lions gear, WWE gear. Use that code, get up 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partners at Fanatics.com. So now we have re-signed DJ Reader. Not re-signed, but extended him to lower the cap number. So we have done all of these moves right here. We extend Alex Anzalone, re-sign Zadarius Smith in a release sign, re-sign Levi, release Khalif Raymond, that one hurts. We release Graham Glasgow, re-sign Tim Patrick, signed Patrick McCarry, the only outside guy that I have on our list right now so far. Re-signing Derek Barnes, extending Kirby Joseph, 5th-year options for Jamison Williams and Aiden Hutchinson. And I still got the cap right here at about $50 million. So I don't have any other things. I go into the draft at this point with $50 million and all of our problems taken care of. Oh, as a matter of fact, we're at $70+ million because our new league year, we're going to get another $20 million that we rolled over from last year. I did not take that into consideration. And my plan is going to work out like a charm right here. So I want to show you guys something, and this is going to make you happy because we get into the draft. I'm only going to pull 3 hypothetical 3-round draft right here that I actually pulled off of PFF.com in the mock draft. And I want you to see this is so in this hypothetical draft, you guys are going to love me. I just want you to know I'm so excited to tell you what this is because this is the real deal. So we get into the draft. Round 1 comes up, and I know that you've seen this out there somewhere before over the last little bit. But in the first round of the draft, somehow it happens, but Kenneth Grant falls. First round draft pick. Kenneth Grant falls to the Lions in my first round draft frenzy. And I'm going to show these to you right here. This was so amazing. When I saw it, it was like a no-brainer. I ran to the podium faster than Brad Holmes did for Aiden Hutchinson. when this slipped, and he was right there. Second round pick, Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. Boom, bitches. He might even compete and win that starting guard spot. You never know. Third round pick, Jaden Higgins, the 6'4" giant wide receiver out of Iowa State. And then they'll get some other guys too in there. But I wanted to throw those in there just because I couldn't believe it. And I know that you guys would love me if I was the general manager and I pulled off this offseason so far. What do you think of that draft? So we're still sitting there. You sign your draft class. And then it gets to June 1st. And everybody's complaining right now. You know, and there's going to be some other free agents that are signed too. But the basic thing I wanted to do was to make sure that in my hypothetical offseason that we got through the draft and everything, and we were able to get these players back and do these things with a lot of money left over. Because after June 1st, on my greatest offseason, my dream offseason, the Lions are going to trade for Myles Garrett. Draft capital and Hendon Hooker. It's going to get done post June 1st. Because one thing that we've been talking about when it comes to this trade, for one, Brad Holmes is not going to talk about said trade unless the player is actually available. Okay? Now, the Browns, one thing that people don't really talk about, I think the bad guy brought this up a little bit, but you can't trade this player right now if you're trying to cut cap. Not until after June 1st. So look at this number here. Myles Garrett, if you were to cut him, your cap savings, if you were to cut or trade Myles Garrett, would be negative $16 million if they do it before this draft. And I know everybody says, oh, you got to get it done. They got to restructure. They're going to do all these things. And then Myles Garrett's going to get traded. I don't think he's getting traded until after June 1st, regardless of where he goes. So let's change this. Oh, shit. Damn it, I did it again. All right. The Myles Garrett trade is not going to happen before June 1st because of this reason. If you trade him before June 1st, you're doing it at negative $16 million. I mean, if you're trying to save cap and you're trying to get out and you're already $23 million over, you're not going to do this, okay? All you have to do is submit to the fact that you're not going to pick your extra picks in this draft. Take your 2 first-round picks for 2026 and 2027, because if you trade him post June 1st, you actually are going to gain cap by $4 million just by waiting 2 months. Now, the bad part of that is you're not picking extra first-round picks this season, which is probably not a bad thing, because you still got 2 more years of Deshaun Watson rearranging your butthole. And even if you draft guys, you got to develop these players. You really want the bulk of your draft picks to hit next year. You got a high draft pick this year. If you can get your quarterback, that's why you throw Hendon Hooker into this trade. You see what you got there. But if this Myles Garrett thing is going to happen. I wanted you guys to see this because I did this entire offseason first. I set you guys up. Okay, I'm doing a hypothetical trade. I get you. Nobody's going to agree with my offseason. I get you. Post June. Post June 1st is the only way this is going to happen. So, yes, this is the major point. Like, people are so quick to look at a chat, right? And you got Brad Holmes says, hey, not really. You're not going to trade. So now all of the Detroit sports media are pretending like we're like these gurus that we need to school Brad Holmes on drafting. Shame on you. Shame on you, Detroit media. And you know who you are, who did it, because I'm not going to call people out by names because no one cares about what I say. But shame on Detroit media for trying to tell Brad Holmes how to do his jobs. When you say, oh, you have to trade something. Oh, if you don't trade something, then you're never going to be able to get anything done because all the good teams trade in. If your name's not Patrick Mahomes and your name's not Tom Brady, then you have to trade something in order to get it done. So basically, you want me to take my franchise and use the model of the teams that were sprinkled in. When drafting and developing is obviously the way that you do it. That's how Kansas City has won multiple championships. Now, you want to win one championship because you got an example with Matt Stafford and A.J. Brown? So you want me to follow the model that worked once out of like 10 years, but you want me to ignore the model where New England and Kansas City win multiple championships, which is drafting and developing. Now, you sprinkle in these big trades, that's fine. You want to do a big trade? You got to do it smart, though. Don't be doing these idiotic things like the Bears are doing right now, trading a draft pick so they can spend $17 million on overpaid linemen. You think that that's good? You want to do stuff, sporadically. I'm just going to go get some guys. Oh, we need linemen. Let's just go get a lineman. $17 million. Jonah Jackson. It didn't work. It didn't work in L.A. The Lions didn't want to pay him all that money, so we might as well. Here's some draft capital. There you go. Ryan Poles is looking desperate. And you want us to go out there and just here, Lions, just go get Myles Garrett. It's not that simple. You got a plan. You got a plan for that stuff. And I just made a play right there. I just showed you. I just proved to you that you could go in and there's a scenario that the Lions land Myles Garrett and they're still able to pick in the first round of this year's draft. And honestly, I don't see, why would you trade Myles Garrett before the draft? When you know he's not going to be part of the team, he ain't going to negotiate. So now it's just a waiting game. Oh, you don't get the pick right away. Who cares? You're setting yourself up for the future. It's a win-win scenario if the Browns just wait until June 1st. Oh, but they're not going to get to pick their first round pick this year. Big deal. What are you going to compete this year? He ain't going to compete this year. So Mark says, we'll see. Tell the Browns that. I don't think that they'll trade for a QB. Maybe they'll get one in the draft, possibly. Why would you want to do that if you can get a QB? Even if you believe in Deshaun Watson. So, I mean, but still, you can still do this trade with the Browns without trading players. You can just use the draft capital. But I don't know why the Browns wouldn't want to take a chance if you could throw in Hendon Hooker on the deal. And it might take a second or third round value off of what they're getting for, but it might be the deal sweetener that could push it over the edge. And if you have Deshaun Watson, why wouldn't you put Hendon Hooker right behind him? He's like the same damn quarterback. So they don't want to keep. They're not trying to build around Deshaun Watson right now. So that team is so screwed right now. So that's the only thing that could screw that up. But I don't see them doing the trade before June 1st. Because when you really look, and this whole experiment that I did for this offseason really made me dive deep into look at some of the numbers. And it's if they do it before the draft, then they're not very smart, because they have the number 2 overall pick. They're going to be able to get a great talented player right there at number 2. And maybe they do draft a quarterback there, Rick. I get that. But they might not draft a quarterback. They may be able to know that this trade is going to go down. They could get, draft number 2 overall, knowing that you're going to lose Myles Garrett, take Abdul Carter, get younger, cheaper at that position, and then use your extra draft capital, your 2 first-round picks that you get from the Lions in 2026, 2027, and you're building your franchise. By 2027, you could probably cut that ridiculous contract of Deshaun Watson. And by 2028, you might actually have a team that has the capital and, resources to compete. And that's what the Browns are looking for. They're so far away from competing right now. That's why he wants out. Yeah, bad guy. I know that. Am I getting you to buy this Kool-Aid again? No, I don't want you to buy this Kool-Aid. This is a dream scenario, okay? This isn't something that I don't think is probable. I might not even get any of these right. You guys may come in here and laugh at me next year. Or, by the end of the week, I may blow up this whole thing. But I thought I saw it on a couple of other podcasts, and it looked fun. And actually, today was one of the funnest episodes that I've ever done on here for that. What would be the perfect offseason for the Lions? That's what we've been talking about today. And the perfect offseason for the Lions would be re-signing most of their players, and then adding a guy like Myles Garrett. In my predicted scenario right there, we're still sitting at $50 million in cap after doing everything. So they could get the Aiden Hutchinson contract done too and still have plenty of money for Myles Garrett and the draft class. People don't realize how much money the Lions had this year. You look at last offseason and you're like, oh my God, they got all these injured players. They got Davenport and they got Mosley and they got DJ Reader and Carlton Davis. And it's like they got all of these guys. And at the beginning of last offseason, they had $31 million. And when they were going through last offseason, I know that you can say, well, they only got injured players and this and that, but they got so many players for $31 million that you're like, wow, how did they do that? That's what I thought. I'm like, how can you do that? They have way more money now. So I got a feeling that Brad Holmes is about ready to shake up what the Lions fans think about him. Because I understand being really frugal with your money when you're looking at teams doing stuff, right? Like, people just look at and I want to talk about this for a little bit, but like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Everyone's looking at this model going, oh yeah, if the Lions would have drafted Jalen Carter, and you go back and do this woulda, coulda, shoulda. Is anybody talking about the consequences of what the Eagles are doing right now? And I get it. There's ways that you can do things, right? But they went into this offseason and you just want to say, oh, they just take all these chances and that's why they're winning Super Bowls. And why won't the Lions do that, right? This is why the Lions won't do this. I want you to see something right here because this is a real thing. Now, see these base salaries here for the Philadelphia Eagles? What do they have in common here? Oh, they're all $1 million. All $1 million. All $1 million. All $1 million, right? You got a couple of these guys. Now, because of you restructuring all these contracts, and you see all this red here, that means they sold their soul to the devil for this championship. And they won't be back next year because nobody's taken into consideration. You just gloss over. Oh, they drafted Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Well, Darius Slay and James Bradbury were released because they can't afford them. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell got to go into a great situation last year. They won a Super Bowl. They deserve all the credit in the world. You were able to do that. But now your security blanket is over. Now, if everybody wants to just say it's a slam dunk that Quinyon Mitchell is better than Terrion Arnold, that's fine. You're entitled to that because by the numbers, he played better. But like good teams do, you're going to put him into a position where he's going to have to be the man. And they're going to draft some people and they're going to put some people on that Philadelphia team that are going to have to play meaningful snaps that don't have experience because you don't have James Bradbury anymore. You don't have Darius Slay anymore. You just signed Saquon Barkley to $20 million a year. Now, the Piper is coming with these cap numbers. You can't keep all of these guys. You're not going to have anybody left on your team. Jalen Hurts, after his contract is over, in 2029, when his contract is over, They have to pay cap. They have to pay cap. Jordan Mailata is going to be paid $50 million a year. Now, the reason I bring that up is like those are that's a written off year. They're not going to be able to compete that year. They're selling everything for what they're doing right now. Now, they do have a very solid 2-year window to do it again and again, right? A solid, but they are losing guys, but you're trying to put faith into the new guys as much as when you release a guy like Bradbury Slay, right? You're expecting Cooper DeJean and Quignon just to jump right in there with nobody to back them up anymore and just play at all pro levels again. You got to expect them to be able to do that. And that's fine. It might happen. But the way that they have their contracts set up right now, they are going to have to hit on their draft picks in the top 3 rounds over the next 5 years. Nail them to be able to keep up with where they're at. So maybe that is the best recipe for success. But I don't think so. I don't think it's the best recipe. Not for long term. Not for long term. Now, do the Lions sell their soul to win the championship? That Myles Garrett. Lamar says, I respect you, but are wild. Why are you doubting the championships and you lost in the first round? I'm just looking at facts here. I'm not doubting the champions. I'm just saying that you're not going to, if you just go spend all your draft capital and you just put all your eggs into the one basket, you can win for a year. And they did. They put all their eggs into the basket. But now they're going to lose players. So Lamar says he respects me, but I'm doubting the champions. Okay. I didn't say, the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl and they're smarter than Philadelphia. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that when you buy things now that you don't have the money for, which is what Philadelphia is doing. They bought a whole bunch of things on credit. And because they bought a whole bunch of things on credit, they're not allowed to keep the things that got them there. So what I'm doing, doubting the champions. What I'm doing is I'm trying to give Brad Holmes more credit than what people are saying. They're saying that Brad Holmes, his whole way about going about things is flawed because Philadelphia won the Super Bowl this year. And obviously we should just do everything that Philadelphia did to win the Super Bowl. And I'm saying that there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you want to say I'm doubting the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm doubting the Philadelphia Eagles as far as long-term sustainability and being able to do that year in and year out. Because I'm getting sold from the outside that we're supposed to follow his model. And the reason I'm supposed to follow the Philadelphia model is because they won the Super Bowl this year. And obviously it works. So as long as you're not Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady in the New England Patriots, then this is the method that works. And it's true. It does. Sometimes you can win the Super Bowl if you go all in. But what you're doing is you're poo-pooing on the it's just the Patriots. Oh, it's just the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you know what they did? Do you know what the Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs did? They got themselves a good quarterback, and then they drafted well, and they didn't overpay players. And that's the bulk of the championships that are out there. The guys that do it like Brad Holmes is doing it. And the way that Brad Holmes is doing it is he's drafting and developing players. Now, when you draft and develop players, does that mean that you never go out and make a splash? No. You make a splash sometimes. So I just proposed a scenario. So if you want to watch, if you're just now joining and you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I proposed my off season. That's what this show has been about today. My perfect off season for the Lions. And my perfect off season for the Lions, we're going to recap this. First thing, extend Alex Anzalone by 2 years, lowering the cap by $5 million. Part 2, release and then re-sign Zadarius Smith. You give him a 2-year, $8.5 million deal. Cap savings around $2 million for 2025 off of what they were paying him. Re-sign Carlton Davis, 3-year, $45 million deal. $17 million guaranteed. Not as high as what they projected, but it's more per year. More incentives. More opportunity to make money and win a championship. Re-sign Carlton Davis, $11 million cap hit. Re-sign Levi Onwuzurike. 2-year, $14 million. $4 million cap hit in 2025. The unpopular decision that I would make here is I would release Khalif Raymond, saving about $3 million on the cap and avoiding $2 million in roster bonuses. Then we reward one Tim Patrick, 2 years, $4.5 million deal. Not going to cost a lot against the cap. He played well last year. Going to be the 4th or 5th option in the receiving game. Big wide receiver. Release Graham Glasgow, saving $2.5 million, or saving $2 million versus the cap. And with that hole right there, we're going to go into free agency and get the only free agent that I think that we'll get from outside. Signing Patrick McCarry, 3 years, $20 million, shoring up that left guard position. Then we're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Jameson Williams. And either pick up the 5th-year option on Aiden Hutchinson or just straight up do the extension this year, one way or another. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be laying the tracks for a long-term extension here. Then we re-sign. We're going to re-sign Kirby Joseph, signing a multi-year extension, 4 years, $64 million. I used the Xavier McKinney contract from last year to make that contract, made it a little bit more. And then we re-signed Derek Barnes, 2 years, $7.5 million deal. Adding another year to the DJ Reader contract, give him some guaranteed money and lowering that 2025 salary cap, $7.5 million. And then my crazy mock draft that I got today that I had to share with you guys. I get into the draft. The Lions select Kenneth Grant in the 1st round. All you Michigan fans getting all crazy. Yeah. And then we get guard Tyler Booker in the 2nd round at pick 60. And then wide receiver Jaden Higgins from Iowa State Love that pick. That's one of those just fall to you kind of guys that happened in that draft. 6'4" wide receiver right there. And then the final thing, waiting till after June 1st, the Lions back up the truck, trade for Myles Garrett after June 1st. Draft capital and head-to-head hooker, or just draft capital. And the Lions all set for training camp and dominating in the NFL under my Detroit Lions slappy offseason. You like that? Oh, I want to thank everybody for taking part in today's experiment. This is the Lion Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne. You can join me Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays during the off-season right here on the Lions Villain Squad Facebook page, as well as the Lions Villain Squad YouTube page. Big thanks to Detroit Lions News Podcast and the Huddle Sports Network, allowing us to broadcast on that spot. We're the UDFA of sports podcasting. Liking, sharing, commenting is a good way to help the page out. I appreciate you guys for doing that. What's Brad Holmes going to do this offseason? Will he find that last stone? We're going to find out. It's faith, family, and then football. We use football to spend time with our family and make memories. We don't let football use us. And this episode, of course, is brought to you by Fanatics.com. Use the villain code. Save up to 25% off of your order. WWE merchandise, NFL, NHL, MLB, NHL, NBA. Get your merch right there. We appreciate you guys using the Lion Villain code. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. I appreciate you taking the time out, listening to my BS opinions. I appreciate you guys. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you. Until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys. I will see you guys on the flip side.